What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Brand new episode of Snaps. I'm your host, T-Bob A-Bear. Brought to you by Snaps Clothing. More on that a little bit later. What's up, Rob? What's up, Quinn? What's up, Jake? It is draft day, guys. Now, Aaron Murray is traveling today, so he's not going to be on the show. I'm going to do a quick 30-minute solo show today. Let me just get some things shared. If you want to help out the show, hit the like button, share with your friends and whatnot, and help please the algorithmic gods that rule our existence and yet hate us because we make uncouth and dirty jokes. So sad. So sad. You know, shouldn't our robots serve us as opposed to the other way around? Therefore, if we find dirty jokes to be funny, shouldn't they as well? If the Raiders draft Kelvin Banks, oh, break my TV, says Jake. Hell yeah, dude. Yes, Ryan, Aaron did let me know he would be absent. Quinn, what time's not watching him? It's going to start at 7 p.m. tonight. And me and Rivers Huey are going to be the beginning. All right, let me get this tweeted out. Coming out, talk draft, Andor, and more. Bam. All right, cool. It's so courteous of him. I know, isn't it? It's a good guy. A good guy, that Aaron Murray. That's why I love doing the show with him. And it's funny. I didn't know Aaron before we started this show. And, you know, quarterbacks can be a mixed bag, right? Are they douchebags? Are they cool? It can go both ways. And Aaron's awesome. Aaron's awesome. And I love doing the show with him, and that's a lot of fun. What's up, Dana Bash? What's going on, man? All right, I'm going to give a couple more minutes for some people to get in here before we dive into the show. I think on today's run of show, talk a lot of NFL draft. Got a lot of very random thoughts. It's a bit scattered. It's all over the place. I'm still getting all my notes in order. Then we have an EA College Football 26 release date. So I look forward to that. It's actually kind of right around the corner. It looks like RG3 is going to be back in the booth this fall after being fired right before the beginning of last football season. And then we'll end with a bit of dryness in terms of Arkansas's demanding $200,000 from Madden Iamaleava, which apparently is a battle that's taking place more often than we realized. And I'll just give you a quick, we'll see. Where did it go? Oh, wow. Speaking of Aaron, I stole this mug from my neighbor's office, and it's a Houston Roughnecks mug. There you go. Shout out to NFL. Whoa, that really fucked up the white balance. I like my pale skin. Go Dog T-Bob, what the fuck is up, man? What's up with you? Oh, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on Andor. I didn't get to watch it all. I mean, 3 episodes is cool, but it's also kind of a ridiculous amount of content to release for episode 1. But 3 episodes, so I watched 1.5 last night, and I'll give you my thoughts on that at the end of the show as well. Sylvain says, I think I'm emotionally ready for the Saints to push me to my breaking point of my phantom. Fair. Blake Walsh says, who's the guy that you can see falling in the draft, and do you think the Saints take QB in round 1? Well, all this is going to be in the draft talk, so I'll get there in a minute when I get there. Let me drink a little bit of this coffee first. QJ says, what's up, bro? I don't think Jackson Dart, not even on Shedur's level. So I would say this. If you are looking for nuanced scouting reports on the quarterbacks, I am not your guy. To me, and look, there are people who commit hours upon hours of scouting and writing about these sorts of things. So what I do is read those things, try to interpret them, and see what I'm okay with or what I think sounds like smart or good. And really, once you get past Cam Ward, it does seem like you have a gaggle, right? Like the next tier appear to be 4 guys: Shedeur, Dart, and those 2 kind of maybe above the other 2, Milroe and Shuck. If I guess where I'm going with this is if I'm down for a team to take one of those guys, I'm really down for a team to take all of those guys almost interchangeably. So if you have a great opinion on why you think Jackson Dart's not even on Shadeur's level, that's great. I do not. I've said in the past that I would be cool if the Saints wanted to take Shedeur at 9 and take a big swing. And if their front office has decided that, well, we actually like Jackson Dart the best and they want to take Jackson Dart at 9, more on that in a minute. Well, okay, I'm okay with that as well. By the way, the odds surging for Jackson Dart to go at 9 right now. Blake Walters, can you give a recap of season 1? It's been a while and I hardly remember what happened. I rewatched some season 1, but then I ran out of time, so I ended up just doing a YouTube recap. That's going to be your best bet. That's going to be your best bet. Mason Graham, top 3 pick? No, but somebody's going to get a ton of value for Mason Graham wherever they get him. I know he's been mocked to the Saints a lot at 9. That would be huge to get Mason Graham at 9, but it looks like it's going to happen, right? Like, okay, I guess you know what? Let's go ahead and just dive into the show. Because it does appear to be, if we just want to do a little bit of a mock here to start. Although, I should mention this. The trade rumors are out of control. Diana Rossini is about as locked in as anybody during this draft process. And I just read her article in The Athletic, 20 thoughts on what's going to happen today. And it's very good. But apparently the Browns, Giants, and Patriots are all fielding calls for pick 2, 3, and 4. Interestingly, she says the majority of teams are looking to move up to get Travis Hunter, not Abdul Carter. I just would have assumed it was going to be Abdul Carter because he seems like such a sure thing, number 1 player in the entire draft. And, you know, he's going to go all the way down to 3 potentially. The Giants reportedly tried to move to the number 1 slot multiple times, once again proving that Cam Ward has really separated from the pack here in terms of QB1. And then, of course, the Browns and the Giants are both in talks with teams at the end of the first round to move back into the first round to select a quarterback. And really, the Giants seem to be the real chaos agent in all of this. Like the entire tenor of the first round of the draft seems to hinge on New York, which is great for narrative. Because here you have Joe Shane and Brian Daboll really standing on their last leg, especially after the disastrous combination of committing to Daniel Jones, letting Saquon Barkley walk, letting him walk to the Eagles, and the Eagles immediately winning the Super Bowl with Saquon Barkley being an all-pro. It's a fucking disaster, okay? They're drowning. They're on the edge of dying. They're fighting for their lives. And so what it has created is a very interesting dynamic. This is how one AFC general manager put it. Quote, do you throw a Hail Mary and try to save yourself, or do you do what's good for the team's future? And this is in regards to drafting a quarterback at 3. Because that's why quarterbacks remain a weird market and a risky market when it comes to the NFL draft, is because if you hit on a guy, then that is the thing that saves your job and sets you up for success for 5, 10, maybe even 15 years. But if you miss a guy, well, the opportunity cost is you gave up Abdul Carter for a backup, a bust, a bum. And that's huge. And that, seals your fate. Now then again, Daboll and Shane, I feel like their fate's already sealed. I mean, if you roll into the season with Jameis and Russell, I love Jameis, but likely everyone's going to get fired. However, the thing is, as I said, likely everyone's going to get fired anyway. So it's almost like you need ownership or somebody else to maybe even come over the top of these guys. They try to go quarterback at 3 and you don't believe it. But let's talk about some of the dynamics at play. Shorty says Cam's going to be off the team in 4 years and Hunter's going to be a Hall of Famer. I hate my team. Are you a Tennessee? So you're a Titans fan, Shorty. You think? I mean, look, okay, again, I'm not a quarterback expert, but if I was a Titans fan, I would be feeling pretty damn good about Cam Ward for a few reasons. First, he does, and it's not just the Titans. In the NFL hive mind, he has clearly separated as QB1. The anecdotal evidence I've heard on Cam Ward in terms of interviews, how he carries himself, how he studies, has been really overwhelmingly positive. I love the fact that he's succeeded at 3 different levels of competition in football. It proves a few things. First off, that as the level of difficulty, I mean, again, he was at Incarnate Word, then he's at Washington State, then he's at Miami. And all he did was get better every single step along the way. So it shows, which again, there's going to be another jump in competition from the ACC to the NFL, but he's handled multiple jumps in competition and come out of it really, really well. It also shows that he's adaptable and malleable. This is not a case where maybe he just works with this one coach really well, and if he's no longer with that one coach, it's going to be a disaster. No, he's proven to be able to work within multiple systems, multiple coaches, and still find success. Another great spot for him at one. And again, like, look, any quarterback can go bust, but whatever. If I was a Titans fan, I'd feel excited. I feel good. It's much better than running Will Levis out there every weekend. Alvarwin Wine says, don't love that he quit on his team after breaking records of the bowl game. That's a nothing to me. I mean, look, you want to go for the record because that is a career's worth of work, and that's something special. And as a competitor, you want it. At the same time, unnecessary risk. I mean, he's going to be the number 1 overall pick. What happens in the nightmare scenario that he gets hurt there at the end? He's not the number 1 overall pick. So I'd say Cam Ward made the correct decision there. And it's not a big deal, dude. It's not like, I don't think any NFL teams are doubting Cam Ward's competitiveness or any commitment to football, to the game. Dreams of Lorian, great name. T-Bob is the best hair of any hob in the Shire. I'll take it. QJ says I need my Panthers to go get Travis Hunter. Now let's talk about the Panthers, because here's an interesting scenario. Dan Graziano reporting that Jackson Dart is the Giants QB1. We also have it on pretty good authority that Jackson Dart is the New Orleans Saints QB1. And this is how you look for potential trade spots. Okay. Who needs what and who's willing to jump right ahead of who to kind of head them off. And so if you are the New York Giants and you really want Jackson Dart, but you don't want to spend the 3rd pick on him, well, then if you're the New Orleans Saints, you're like, well, look, I mean, with how things are breaking down right now, if the Giants want Dart, they're going to have the ability in the 2nd round to either trade back. They're going to have the ability to take him before we do. Like, so the Saints are quickly arriving at the logic of, because they're at 9 and they're at 40, and so many teams are early 30s are looking to trade back up even into the late 1st round to get these quarterbacks. The Saints would ideally like to draft a player and then take a quarterback at 40. The problem is those 4 quarterbacks probably won't be available at 40. And if you're Kellen Moore, you're starting out new era, and you think Jackson Dart is the guy and you want him, it's looking more and more like you might have to take him at 9 if you're going to get him. Because if not, I don't know how you're going to get back ahead of the Giants without paying way too hefty of a fee for a roster that has way too many problems. That's why you're seeing Jackson Dart's odds surge right now to be that 9th overall pick. So what happens in with the Giants? They want Jackson Dart. They need their quarterback. Dayball and Shane got to save their job, like we said, right? They can't take him at 3. Well, who's there at 8? QJ's Carolina Panthers. Okay, well, so this starts to make sense. You're telling me that the Panthers can trade up to 3 and either get Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter? I mean, 2 big-time picks, and Carter, the number 1 player in the draft, and Travis Hunter, a guy that, well, you'd give up 2 first-rounders to get him, and he kind of represents 2 first-rounders in some odd ways. And then for the Giants, they accrue more draft capital, and they still get to take Jackson Dart at 8 if they want, and then they lessen the blow of maybe reaching for a quarterback because they have that additional draft capital. You get him right before the Saints tonight. So that's a potential scenario to play, and there's a million scenarios like that. And it all has to do with the awkward in-between state that all these quarterbacks exist in, where they're not quite good enough to feel great about taking them at a top 10 pick, but they are good enough and you're desperate enough where you feel like you need to get into that late 1st round, early 2nd to be able to grab them. And it's creating a lot of chaotic dynamics. And I'm excited to see that. Bo Molinari saying Shedeur sucks. Not my take. Look what the scouts say about Shedeur off the record. You got to be careful with that off the record shit. I talked about this yesterday on the Jim Rome show, but like, actually, let me just pull up my notes and we can just get into exactly what the quote was and what was said about Shedeur and why I just don't put a ton of stock into it. It says, Shedeur was, quote, the worst formal interview I've ever been in my life. He's so entitled. He takes unnecessary sacks. He's never on time. He has horrible body language. He blames teammates. But the biggest thing is he's not that good. And the thing about it is none of this is necessarily untrue. He is entitled. He does take too many sacks. He does blame his teammates. He does have bad body language. But all of this can be a matter of perspective. He's not entitled. He's confident. He doesn't take too many sacks. He just tries to make too many plays. He doesn't blame teammates. He's just honest and holds them to a high standard. You know, a ton of guys have bad body language, right? Look at Tom Brady, like breaking Microsoft services and whatnot, blah, 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 blah. So at the end of the day with Chaddric Sanders, once you grade his physical ability, wherever you grade it, which again is up for debate, it comes down to how do you feel about the brash nature in which he carries himself? Is it confidence or is it cockiness? Does he think he's too good or does he know he's destined for greatness? And here we see the duality of man, right? Where that Shedeur brash confidence is potentially both his greatest strength and his greatest weakness, right? Will he get to the NFL and say, oh, well, this isn't working out, not because of me, but because everything else going on around me. It's not my fault. I'm perfect. I'm not doing anything wrong. Or will he get to the NFL and do everything that it takes to achieve the greatness that he is known for? And that's one thing I'll say about Shedeur. I've never heard any complaints about his work ethic. And if indeed, as everybody's telling us, he has no special physical tools, well, you don't just luck into the success that he had. You don't luck into the winning that he had. What I mean is, if he's having to overcome these, obvious physical deficiencies, well, how's he doing that? By studying and working his ass off. So again, I don't know about Shedeur necessarily. I don't know about Jackson Dart necessarily. They're risky. But all quarterbacks are. At the end of the day, if you think it's your guy, I think you got to take a shot. And I would be fine with the New Orleans Saints taking either one at 9 for whatever that's worth. Texas Rock says, what, winning? I mean, what are you talking about? Shedur's record at Jackson State was incredible. That was a losing program. He took a losing Colorado program. And yes, well, the overall record may not have been great. To say that they are not multiple orders of magnitude better than when he got there, that's crazy. Where they finished 7-2 in the Big 12 last year. Now, granted, they struggled against the best teams in the Big 12, but to where Colorado is now versus where they is 2 years ago, it's not like it's jersey retirement worthy, but it is impressive. Like, we can't be such a hater that we just deny all the accolades, so. If a team takes Dart at 8, do the Saints panic and take Sanders at 9? No, because I don't think the Saints have a high grade on Shedeur. Or at least that's everything that we've heard, right? The Saints definitely want a quarterback, but it appears like it's probably Dart, and then maybe at 9 you would, if Shedeur was to, or if Dart was to get taken at 8, you'd probably take a player at 9, and then you probably would try to work to trade back up for a Miller, or I don't know. I mean, do you stay put and go after like a Ewers later? I don't know. A million things. This could go. I need Hal. Let's see your top 5 big board players. I don't have a top 5 big board. I don't, there's no point in me having one. I'm not out here studying film and shit. That's not my job. I do love this. This is a quote from Diana Rossini article, and it kind of I've been talking about hope, right? And that's what the NFL draft represents, that most indomitable of human qualities, that despite all the evidence to the contrary that we can make it, tomorrow will be better and we can be successful. How many times have we heard stories throughout history of humans who had all the odds stacked against them, but had a flicker of hope. And they latched on to that and ended up ending in a happy story, right? So I've been painting this very positive, sort of optimistic way, the NFL draft, because you can choose to believe that your picks are going to be good and everything's going to be better from here on out. And I love this quote that Rossini got from a former Super Bowl winning coach, quote, "Don't ever discount that there are dumbass teams." So I guess you have to hope that you're not one of the dumbass teams. Unfortunately, if you're a Saints fan, a Browns fan, other fans, you might be a dumbass team. So you have to ask yourself, is my team that I'm cheering for a dumbass team? Maybe so. Smash the Numbers says, is Will Johnson dropping because nobody knows his 40-time post-injury? Will a smart, good team take him without the 40 time? I don't know. Again, like, that's crazy because, like, Will Johnson to me was one of the most dominant corners in the entire country over a very large sample size. I thought his stock would still be sky high, but yeah, people seem to be shying away. So maybe I guess it's a classic risk reward thing. Yes, there's added injury risk, but there's also probably some potential value reward, given that that's a player that likely would go higher was he not hurt. And we saw be very good over a very long time in college. Everybody is now just shitting on their NFL team, saying ours is a dumbass team. Ours is a dumbass team. To be fair, everybody in the chat seems to be fans of teams picking in the top 10. So I understand where you're coming from. Some other interesting notes about this draft. At a time when running back is starting to bounce back in the NFL meta a bit, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, all having very good years, leading to winning, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of good running backs in this class. Of course, Ashton Jeanty is going to go top 10. A lot of interesting teams. Jags potentially, Raiders high up there. Saints would want him as well. You got Omarion Hampton from UNC, Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson, Cam Scattaboo. So for you fantasy guys out there, there's going to be a lot of strong rookie running backs to consider drafting next year. Some names to watch out for that are current players that can maybe get traded today. Kirk Cousins, Aiden O'Connell, Will Levis, Sam Howell. What do they all have? They're all quarterbacks and teams that now have different plans at quarterback and represent some value on the trade market where everybody's trying to move up or down. Proto Baggins said over there have Scattaboo over Jeanty. I don't think that, dude. I don't know if I go that far. Brady B says Jenny going to be a monster. Great dude too. I agree. He, for what it's worth, I'm not going to doubt Cam Scattaboo, but Jeanty feels like the next kind of transcendent running back. And I love that letter that he wrote to the NFL GMs, basically saying, look, this is a sport where you have to tackle the guy. Why don't you get the guy that no one can tackle? Also, think about, like, in some ways, the NFL, at least from a scheme perspective, will be more friendly to Jeanty. If you were playing Boise State last year, you would just load the box as much as possible and force Jeanty to still run through you. And he somehow would, even though everybody knew he was going to get the ball. What if he lands in a place where he's not option number one? Now, he can be, but what if he lands in a place where all of a sudden you have to respect their quarterback's ability to throw as well? Well, that could potentially juice him up even more. Go Doug says premium running backs, some edges going in the second round might be the second best second round ever. So yeah, that's the other kind of bird's eye view on this draft. Is it's a lot of starters in this draft, not a lot of elite players, right? A lot of people with the old tagline that you'll get the same player for 7 that you will at 20. And so yes, these middle rounds, likely a lot of value to be had. Anyway, there's a little draft talk. Very excited for tonight. Let's go ahead and how do I do this again? I'm an idiot. Here we go. We're to remind you about our sponsor here on the Snaps College Football Podcast, and that is Snaps Clothing. I have a Snap shirt on right now. I love pairing it with my Chewbacca Gap shirt. Look at this thing. It's so comfortable, easy to put on, take off. Look at that. They're just pearl snaps. That's what it is. And that's just kind of funny, man. So Snaps Clothing, a couple of guys, they're on the corporate grind. They're drinking whiskey one night, hanging out. They're like, man, I can't take this corporate ladder climbing anymore. I want to do something exciting, do something new. And by looking for something new, they went back to their roots, started talking about pearl snaps, right? Kind of iconic nature of pearl snaps. And what happened to pearl snaps? We should bring them back with new technology, new materials, iconic style in a new age. And thus we arrive at the Snaps Clothing Company. And look, man, as you can see, they got a huge collection here. Winter, summer, short sleeve, long sleeve. They got it all. But the reason why they sponsor a college football podcast is because they have their tailgater collection. Okay. So if and these are we got more licenses coming for Snaps every single day. But here are some of the schools that we already have on the website right now that you can go check out. Texas A&M, TCU, Oklahoma, SMU, LSU, Alabama, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Oklahoma State. And so if you are looking for a great gift idea for football season, for a birthday, your holiday, whatever, go pick up some of these. A great tailgate shirt as well. Very comfortable, very breathable. Look, a lot of these teams based in the South, these short sleeve ones, you can sweat. It doesn't show. You're going to be great. You can wear an unbuttoned shirt underneath or a button up a million different ways. It's a great gift idea. Again, guys, Snaps CFB at checkout. That's our promo code. Lets them know that you came from the podcast, so it helps out the show. Snaps CFB at checkout. Brady B says, I think Judkins is going to be still in the draft. I agree. I love this from Smash the Numbers. Snaps, brought to you by Snaps. It just fits. It's a good tagline. Smash. Hell yeah, dude. Bo says, I want Shamar Stewart to fall to the Eagles, but that OT from Mizzou would be the best pick, but he ain't falling to 32. Hell no. Apparently, Armand Membu, the tackle from Mizzou, who's maybe viewed as the highest potential tackle, he's very young, only 21 years old. He's going to go top 10. Or at least that's what all the mocks say. He ain't going 32. Now, Shamar Stewart, I don't know exactly where he mocks to. That's one of those classic, unbelievable physical numbers. Combine superstar, but not a lot of college production to speak of. Snap CFB is the code. Thank you, Bo. Right there on your screen. All right, so we have a new college football 26 release date confirmed as July 10th. You can play as early as July 7th if you buy the luxury edition. Ibar says, who do you think the Raiders pick up? I think the Raiders will go with Genty at 6, but I think the Jags may take him at 5. If that's the case, I think there's a chance they go Membu. I think they go tackle. Here's a little video that we are going to watch. Let me see. This is a preview for both the teaser for both EA College Football 26 and Madden, as it seems like they are really leaning into the Be a Pro mode where you can go from high school to college, then to the NFL. Let's watch it together.
Hey everyone, Rich Eisen with you. It is draft day. The Detroit Lions select.
Yeah. Ah.
Hello?
JD, it's Coach DQ with the Commanders. You ready for this?
Been ready, Coach.
Man, I already know. You've been building for this
Your whole life. Just sit with that a minute, man, how important this is. Because anyone don't make it this far. Anyone don't make it to the top. Thankfully, I'm not just talking to anyone. No, sir.
Welcome home.
have me a little bit more in the headphones.
All right, now I don't necessarily have any. I'm not going to buy Madden. I don't care about Madden, but I know many of you, when it came to EA College Football 25, were really kind of bummed that they didn't have the high school mode anymore. And I would say not only, I've never done it before, so I'm excited to maybe check it out. But I would say not only is the high school stuff back, but it looks like probably a bigger emphasis on it than ever in terms of trying to give you that entire like if that's going to be the first thing they release about the game, the first teaser, it shows you that they're really leaning into it. And it makes sense that, like, look, they really got the gameplay and everything else right with 25, and that was kind of a glaring feature that was left out. But with yearly releases, you're kind of incentivized to leave some features out so you can continue to add them out without tinkering too much with the gameplay when you get it so right like they did. Yeah, you can. Smash the Number says, seems like that combo deal is implying you can play all the way through from college pro with one player. You can. I think it's going to go from high school, then you're going to commit to a college, and then you can import your character into Madden, and which is cool. That's cool. It's not for me. I'm not going to do that. I haven't even played the Be a Pro mode a lot. I never played Road to Glory. But if you're into that's fine. So July 7th, though, going to be the release date. Not that far away. Excited to get more news on this. Excited to see how it's changed. For those who care about such things, if you pre-order Madden 26 by April 29th, if you pre-order the MVP bundle by April 29th, you'll get a 99 rated Travis Hunter card for Ultimate Team in both Madden and CFB. And Madden 25 and CFB 25. So pre-order the MVP bundle by April 29th for 26, and you get a 99 rated Travis Hunter card in 25 for both games. Again, I don't play the Ultimate Team modes, but if you do, maybe that's for you if you know you're going to buy these games anyway. I've loved Online Dynasty mode, and I have loved just playing online. Last thing on the video game, we do have your classic chart of the differences between the deluxe edition and the standard edition. Here you can see it. It looks like deluxe is going to get you 3-day access on 3-day early access on July 7th. You're going to get some college football points or whatever to spend on Ultimate Team. Early access solo challenge for Ultimate Team. It honestly just looks like a lot of Ultimate Team shit, and I don't really care about that. Like, the only thing that Deluxe offers, if you don't care about Ultimate Team, I think over is the early access, which you got to decide for yourself whether or not you think that's worth it. Yeah, Godot said Road to Playoffs and Online with Friends. I agree. Those are the two modes that I play. RG3 going to be back in the booth. Of course, RG3 getting fired in August last season from ESPN during those round of layoffs. I've always thought RG3 is very good. Well, it seems like Fox Sports agrees, because they are hiring RG3 to be their number 2 game analyst on the network. So he'll be calling games next to Jason Benetti, right behind Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt. So RG3 going to be back on your television screens during the football games come fall. I hope at some point that we get a Gus Johnson RG3 game. I know for some of y'all that would be over the top, but like I said, I like both those guys. I think it'd be electric. And then our final story for today, Arkansas is demanding $200,000 from Madden Iamaleava. Saying, quote, Arkansas's NIL collective has sent 2 demand letters to players asking to fulfill buyout clauses. Sources tell Front Office Sports, and this all comes from Amanda Kristovich's Twitter and an article she wrote. Quote, the AD's comments yesterday, because Juracek came out and said he supports their NIL group's quest to recoup this money. The AD comments yesterday were referring to multiple players who left for NIL contracts expired, including Madden Iamaleava. Now, this is something that we haven't really discussed too much during this era, on this show at least, is players trying to leave all willy-nilly and maybe not reading the fine print. And the fine print is, look, if you leave before your contract is up, well, you owe a buyout. But the question becomes, are buyouts enforceable? Because usually, apparently, a collective will have a buyout clause that requires the player to either pay or return a certain amount of money if they violate the terms of the agreement, which is generally leaving before the lifetime of the contract ends. At Arkansas, for example, and this comes right from Amanda's article, deals span 1 year. Buyouts require players to pay an amount equal to 50% of the remaining earnings to the lifetime of the contract. So this language is in all these contracts, but the question is it enforceable? Attorney Darren Heitner, who has multiple clients that are college players and has had multiple schools come after him for buyouts, but he has not paid a buyout yet. And so this is where it's going to be interesting to see if Arkansas can win this battle. Darren Heitner says buyouts framed as penalties are less enforceable legally than buyouts phrased as damages. And I gotta forewarn you here. The quote I am about to read is so incredibly lawyerly and litigious sounding that it may cause your ear to bleed. This is what Darren Heitner said. This is how lawyers talk. This is how lawyers get out of shit. Said, quote, I'm not willing to generalize and state that all buyouts are unenforceable. However, on the rare occasion that there has been a claim for repayment for one of my clients, that has been my conclusion based on the language of the agreement at issue as well as the specific facts of the situation at hand. My God, what a word salad. That is some lawyer-ass lawyer speak. Basically, it seems like the legal burden is on the collective to prove that not having that athlete's NIL rights has caused them damages in an amount that is non-speculative, that is somehow quantifiable or provable, and that is hard to prove. Now, apparently there's been a lot of these battles taking place behind closed doors. There's been a lot of settlements behind closed doors. What's going to be in that are undisclosed? What's going to be interesting to see is if one of these does reach a court of law, who wins? The players or the collectives? Because that will set the precedent going forward. And maybe Arkansas versus Iamaleava is the case that'll end up doing it. Bosa's interesting strategy from the Iamaleava camp, seeing they are making less and hurting their reputation. Yeah, it's I mean, it is actually insane. It is actually insane on both a monetary and maybe even more importantly, brand damage and reputation damage standpoint. What Camp Iamaleava has done this offseason. It's been like watching a car crash in slow motion. All right, final thing for today. Andor review. Spoiler free. I don't have a ton to say on it because I just I'm only an episode and a half through, but all I gotta say is Andor is fucking awesome. It remains maybe the premier new Star Wars that has been made. Tony Gilroy, who is one of the greatest screenwriters of our era, is flexing right now. And he did in season 1 as well. So if you're someone who didn't like season 1, I don't know if you're going to like season 2. The pacing can be a slow burn, but it's a slow burn, in my opinion, where you're on the edge of your seat the entire time. Incredibly sharp dialogue, incredibly wonderful political machinations and threads, beautiful set design, art direction, costume design. It's really just all coming together. The music is good. Maybe the music doesn't stand out as much as the other elements that I just mentioned. I think it's very well acted as well, which is huge in a show that's really going to rely on the actors for getting across some of the tension in a lot of these scenes. So Andor, I just cannot say enough about. I am so tickled. And I cannot wait to watch the final half of the second episode and the third episode. Dante says, I heard Andor is slow and mains up plot armor. True. That just feels like kind of like Chaddric Sanders, a matter of perspective. If you don't enjoy it, that could be how you say it is. But I do enjoy it. And I don't feel that at all. No, I have not got a chance to see Sinners yet. I'll give you a review on that when I do. I cannot wait to see Sinners. It's just kind of it's kind of busy right now with the draft and a lot of other shit going on. But hopefully get to see Sinners this weekend, maybe Friday night, actually. That would be awesome. I would hope so. But yeah, I can't recommend Andor enough, especially if you're a Star Wars fan, dude. Like, again, what was his name? Tony Gilroy said it, but he said, we're going to take this shit more seriously than anyone ever has. And like all things, when it comes to creativity and movie making, anything can be a red flag, anything can be a good idea, anything like no ideas are good or bad, whatever. It all comes down to execution. And so, like, if somebody said that, I could see that quickly becoming too self-serious, too boring, like, and not being good, right? But with that as the framework of the goal, Tony Gilroy is nailing accomplishing that goal. And I cannot wait to see where it goes. All right, guys, we love you. Have a great weekend. Have a great draft. Be live on my 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel night for the draft from the Cigar Bar. And we'll see you next time on a brand new episode of Snaps. We'll be back on Tuesday. Y'all have a great day. Later, guys.